Hey, it's Dennis. I'll talk about finances and my personal journey to wealth. Alright, let's get into it. What I mean about seeing your future in a job is that the people around you have once been in your position before and have gone through the process. Keep that in mind because it's important when you're first starting out. For example, when you first start a job, you'll be hit with a bunch of new information that you're expected to learn, hopefully within a reasonable amount of time, and eventually with enough time, you'll learn all your nuances to your daily work and how to efficiently complete the job in a reasonable amount of time while still maintaining quality in your work. It's not until later when you become more proficient at your job and perhaps knowledgeable about the structure of your workplace when you realize what the other members of your job are doing at your work and how long they have been there for and the amount of experience they have become apparent to you. The background of your colleagues and leadership will naturally reveal itself to you if you're willing to lend an ear or by being observant of people's actions and attitudes toward their work. At this moment, a sense of clarity rushes your mind, and you can see what position you could be in if you continue to work at your job with very minimal effort, high amount of effort, or a mixture of both. The course of action you take will most likely result with you being similar to someone who has come before you previously, but with the knowledge of the past, you'll benefit from others' struggles. Being more in tune with your colleagues also helps you clear a path to your own goals, and it will shine some light on your path and potentially prevent you from falling into the same pitfalls that have been made before you. If you haven't noticed or haven't been able to learn much from your coworkers yet, then I encourage you to go find out sooner than later because it's likely to help you out. Some will have values that you can relate to, and some will be the complete opposite of you, but that is not necessarily a bad thing. But it's still important to see multiple views of a situation so you can inevitably make decisions that will affect your life later on. If you look around your workplace and you don't feel inspired or you lack the desire to be at a position which you could potentially hold in the upcoming future, then it's time to make a change and hit a sidestep and change lanes, because if you don't change your trajectory, you will end up following the path of your coworkers who potentially followed the path given to them instead of making a road for themselves and setting reachable milestones that would help them track their progress to eventually meet their own personal goals. The same goals that you probably have not made yet, because that would take time from your precious day meant for relaxing. Or you didn't want to look for other opportunities, or you became too comfortable with your job because it's easier to stay than to leave, and you know what to expect for the rest of the time there. To some people, this is a very comforting idea that they no longer have to worry about employment again, and that all their bills will be paid off as long as they continue to show up on time and provide some sort of use to a company. Even if you're comfortable with your job, I doubt you're happy about showing up to work on Monday and continuing to contribute until Friday, just to have 2 days to yourself so you don't go insane and you don't feel like you're seeing your life pass right in front of you. The average worker cherishes the weekend, but it often leads to being wasted with almost no rememberable factor of it even happening, and then your alarm goes off and you're back to work. Becoming comfortable with your current situation and giving up on pursuing your true dreams will lead you to mediocrity, and you will fail to truly see your best self. Unfortunately, you will have to spend a few months of leisure time you do receive to pursue your true aspirations, preventing you from just existing and de-stressing until your next day of obligation. To think about it logically, right? If you live your life day by day and you despise it, and do nothing at the end of it to change the endless feedback loop, then the choice falls on the person to make a move that changes that day so they can add to their legacy. If you intend to always be tethered to a single entity, you'll most likely never see what it's like to live a life based on your own rules and personal intentions, instead of someone else telling you what your goals and aspirations should be. It took me about a year or so to truly understand my potential past in my current job and the general expectation and emotion related to it, most of which I came to understand by talking to many coworkers and looking through online forums that had jobs that were similar to mine. As I look more into other industries out of mine and start to begin diving into other paths that would require less time of me while also being paid more, those options by itself make it easier for me to start a new journey through an unventured ecosystem. It's also worth the risk since I don't have any significant liabilities. It can be easy to decide when you're going to do something or start something, but when it comes to actually planning it out and trying to make it logistically work, a bunch of problems can immediately pop up and discourage you from your newfound interest. But by avoiding liabilities, it will be easier for you to focus on new problems instead of old ones. As for liabilities that limit your choice and flexibility in venturing into new avenues and the potential for leaving your job, These three liabilities are very common and avoidable, but as we know, it still does not stop people from taking it on, or they might just happen to find most of their enjoyment from it. Could be more reasons, but we're going to keep it simple. Number 1, having a family and being the sole provider. This limits your flexibility because you are now dependent on feeding your own family and their well-being. So when you look for a new job or try to venture into new opportunities, you're going to have to determine if your work balance is better or if the pay will be enough to disregard the time you have with your family. Can you handle a couple months of unemployment while being in between jobs? Not to mention all the stress that weighs on the person to make it happen at the end of the day, or else they would have to deal with the fallout of not being able to provide for the time being. Having a family for most people and unplanned scenarios are bound to happen, but by planning a family instead of falling into one accidentally, you'll be better off because you could be more proactive instead of reactive. Number 2, high amounts of debt that prevents you from building wealth early on, and recurring expenses that make a majority of your monthly income also puts you in a metaphorical box. This reality can be altered by paying down debt or downsizing until a majority of your income can be freed up. Once again, you most likely not want to leave a place that is currently paying you for all the stuff that you have bought in the past. This also prevents you from being able to get out of tragedies rather easily, and since you were unprepared, this will result in you being in more debt just because you had no money to begin with. It's a lose-lose and continuing to lose situation that's going to have to stop by your own will. Number 3, not having multiple income streams and being solely dependent on one income source will not allow you to easily leave. By cutting your mainstream off, you will end up ending your cash flow completely, leaving you to find the next opportunity instead of the right one. Keep in mind, millionaires have at least 7 sources of income. This allows them to not be heavily tied to one source since they are not completely reliant on one income. If you manage to avoid these liabilities early on, you'll be able to act fast on opportunities that pop up and then seem to vanish immediately, if not taken. You're also able to take more risk for a chance of a greater reward because you have more money saved up and you're not scared of not being able to afford a necessity if it does not work out. Some no longer wish to truly improve their lives by great magnitude, or their way out is severely more complicated by having different commitments and liabilities that they have made in the past. There is nothing wrong with being happy and fulfilled at your job, even if it does not bring much monetary support to your life. But if you absolutely despise your job and you're going to have to make an exit strategy for your current job or begin starting a new venture that will lead to... I personally believe if you're going to have to work a job that sucks the life out of you and it doesn't pay well, then you must take action. Because even if you save copious amounts of money with a low-paying job that you hate, you're going to have to work that job for a very long time. But if you're able to obtain a job making big money, then you have to work less time to finally leave your job and either retire early or continue working on your actual passions, which either life you are currently living at the moment. Continue to work on your side hustles to eventually make into one of your many sources of income. Next time you go to work, I want you to look around, try to feel the type of environment you're in, and if you want to stay there for much longer, I want you to look around the people, see if you guys have any common ideas, common beliefs. If not, then keep moving. All right, that's it for me, guys. Stay wealthy.